Hello, this is a basic navigation video for accessing Service Capture in TIENET. Once logged in, you can access Service Capture from one of two ways. In the toolbar at the top of any screen, you may select Service Calendar or click on the calendar icon located beside a student. This is your service calendar. You can navigate the calendar in a month, week, or day view. Use the arrows to move back and forth in the calendar. I've created a caseload group for my Medicaid eligible students so I know who needs a monthly progress summary. Because remember, once you've recorded services, you must also have a separate monthly summary in order for all of the records to be eligible for billing. I select a student to record a service for, or I can select multiple students by holding down the control key. This works well if you have students that you always see in a group. The first time I will show you how to document for one student. You can do one day at a time, or if you're playing a little bit of catch up, you can select 2 days, 3 days, as many days as you need to at a time. I'll go ahead and show you 4, but know that you can do 1 day at a time, and that is perfectly fine. In fact, that's recommended so you don't fall too far behind on your documentation. I see this student at 9 o'clock every day. I want to just repeat that time. I can always edit that when I go into the record later. The service is speech and language. The service type is individual therapy. My group size is 1. This student is being seen for articulation. These services took place in January, so I may select this box that says the service has been completed. This is an option because there is the capacity to schedule future services. Now I have a menu of services that need to be saved before I exit this menu. I have 0 of 4 saved at this moment. I need to fill in the amount of time I see the student, the progress the student is making, and then I need to have a detailed note that an auditor could reproduce. I can toggle to the next record and fill in missing information. Maybe on this day the student was absent. This now becomes record keeping. I do not need to fill in any other information. On January 20th, perhaps the provider was not available. The provider perhaps would want to make a note as to why. Perhaps you are attending MTSS or a behavior intervention planning meeting or an IEP. We know those types of things happen, and that's okay. This is a great place to document that. So far, I have 3 of my 4 records saved. I'm working through my last record. On this day, I saw the student for 30 minutes. All of my records are saved. When I go back to the service calendar, I can see that these are completed records. They are in purple. Let's try scheduling something in the future for a group of 2. I'm holding down the control key and selecting both students, and I'm going to schedule future services. Perhaps I want to add them to a group to work on a specific skill on Thursdays through February and March. I will see this group at 11:15, and I can just repeat that time. Make sure you have AM selected. Speech and language, group therapy, 92508 is the code, and this group is going to work on expressive language. Now this service has not been completed as it's scheduled in the future. So take a look. These in peach are incomplete. As you begin to work with the group, you can go in and edit the fields as necessary by selecting the Edit option. I'll plan to work with the group for 30 minutes. Okay. Let's say sample is not going to be in this group any longer. You could press the X to delete the record, or you could change the date of the record by double-clicking and documenting when you worked with the student. You can also delete the record once you're inside of the record. So either select the X, change the date, or go in the record and delete if you need to. Just a reminder, you must complete a monthly summary on the last school day of the month by rule of thumb for each Medicaid eligible student. This makes all of the records you've completed so far eligible to submit for billing. So let's look at what that would look like in Service Capture. I'll show you for the month of January. The service type is Monthly Progress Summary. The time you sit down to do the summary. You do not need a duration, but you will need to report on progress. And be pretty detailed. Again, we're looking for some data that an auditor could reproduce and understand what you are doing with your time with the student. So you'll want to go through and do that for each student. You can set that up with more than one student and plan to do them all on the same day, and that would be fine. Just know that however many students you put in that group is how many students will be in the drop-down menu that need to be saved before you exit that screen. So for example, the last school day in December, I'll show you. I did a monthly progress summary. Both of these students would need to be covered in the same areas, and then I can continue. Now I have 2 students that I need to save records for, and this is what I mean. This menu will get longer the more students you add to the group. So just keep in mind that you need to complete saving all of these records before exiting this screen. The ones that you've completed will save. Any that are incomplete will no longer be listed on your calendar. Very important. Now, monthly progress summary is considered a group size of 1, so you will need to change that fact. The rest of the things are filled in for you, so it just depends on how you like to operate and what can help you stay organized. for test. And save. Okay, my monthly summaries are all set. They are not valid in December because I didn't document any services. So these two things really do go hand in hand. Remember, anything else that you need to record can be done right within Service Capture. Just make sure that if you're trying to do any type of record keeping, you'll want to use something that's not a billable code. So if you're consultative only with a student on your caseload, you would want to use consultation, for example. So Medicaid eligible students should have their IEP times documented, plus when they're eligible, they need a monthly summary. And eligibility changes frequently, so keep checking back. And definitely refer to your tip sheets for further information on documenting and providing solid Medicaid documentation. Thank you so much.